Okay, picture this. You're sitting right there in the exam hall. You read a question, and you immediately write down what you think is a totally flawless answer. I mean, you know the biological pathway, you know the outputs, and you've basically memorized the textbook, right? But then the results come out, and you've completely missed the top mark band. No way! Why? Well, it's because you fell into a massive trap that catches literally thousands of candidates every single year when they get tested on 12.2 anaerobic respiration, ethanol fermentation, and yeast. It's this fundamental confusion between cause and effect in the scenario they give you. So let's dive into this explainer and unpack exactly what went wrong.
So I want to challenge you right now. Can you spot the mistake that costs a full letter grade? Honestly, it's almost never a lack of scientific knowledge. It's a failure to think like an examiner. See, so many students just regurgitate a textbook definition of anaerobic respiration without actually answering the specific question in front of them. They just list facts instead of analyzing the provided stimulus. This is a fatal flaw. And in this explainer, we're going to completely rewire how you approach this topic so you never leave those marks on the table again.
Now you might be thinking, why are we hyper-focusing on this one specific area? 15. That is the percentage of total marks that ethanol fermentation in yeast accounts for in Paper 2 of your Cambridge Biology 9700 syllabus. Just let that sink in for a second. 15% of your entire grade hinges on this one topic. Ordinary revision, just reading your notes and highlighting key terms, it's simply not going to cut it to secure a top band score when the stakes are this incredibly high. You need a strategic advantage.
Section 1. The core concept framework. Thinking like a principal examiner.
Here's the thing about top-performing students. They don't just rely on rote memorization. They succeed because they have a connected, conceptual understanding. The Cambridge syllabus makes it crystal clear that you have to demonstrate mastery of fundamental principles and actually transfer them to unfamiliar contexts. And the secret sauce? It's the method mark strategy. Marks are awarded for the explicit process of systematic analysis and evidence-based reasoning, not just the final answer. This is how Cambridge examiners actually hand out points. It's a totally standardized sequence. They want to see you identify the key elements, apply the principles, execute your analysis with clear working, verify your results, and then present them properly. If you just skip to the final biological conclusion without showing your analytical depth, you are throwing marks away.
The game-changing examiner clue is coming right up. I'm going to reveal a highly specific examiner clue that completely flips how a fermentation question should be answered, pulled straight from the principal examiner reports. It is an absolute game-changer for your grade. But actually, before that's going to make any sense at all, you need the framework that makes the clue completely obvious. Stick with me, because if you skip this, you'll miss the exact strategy needed to lock in those top marks.
To get you there, we've got to build that foundation. We use a 5-step standardized sequence to tackle any complex exam question on this topic. Step 1, deconstruct. Step 2, extract. Step 3, select. Step 4, execute. And Step 5, present. This isn't just some helpful suggestion, guys. This is the literal theoretical architecture that examiners use to test your cognitive domains, from your basic knowledge all the way up to handling tricky information and experimental skills.
All right, let's actually break down how we apply these steps. First up, you've got to deconstruct the question so you know exactly what cognitive demand they're asking of you. Next, you absolutely must extract relevant data from the stimulus. This is so crucial. Pull those exact numbers from the tables or identify the specific trends from the graphs. Third, select the analytical framework, mapping out those causal relationships. Fourth, execute it with super clear notation and rock-solid scientific reasoning. And finally, present your findings with precise, correct terminology. Boom! You now have a completely foolproof procedural framework for data interpretation.
Section 2. Flawed versus perfect answers. Applying the framework.
Let's put this into practice with a real Cambridge-style scenario to test if we can truly apply that 5-step framework. I want you to pause for a second and look at this generic student response. Yeast respires anaerobically, so it produces ethanol and carbon dioxide. What is the error here? Really think about it. Why would this score so poorly? I mean, it states a biological fact, right? But remember what we just talked about with evidence-based reasoning? This answer has zero context. It has zero extracted data. It just assumes this automatic cause and effect without linking it to the specific constraints of whatever experimental stimulus the examiner actually gave you.
This is literally the difference between an average grade and a top-tier score. A generic contextless statement about yeast producing ethanol, that earns you absolutely nothing. But a top-band answer? It actively links precise causal relationships. It extracts very specific data from the stimulus, like, say, a graph showing ethanol concentration over time, and it weaves that directly into the biological explanation. It proves to the examiner that you didn't just blindly memorize a textbook, you used the provided evidence to reach a highly justified conclusion. And that is exactly how the 5-step framework elevates your response to the elite level.
Section 3. Top Examiner Warnings, directly from Principal Examiner Reports. Okay, the stakes just got higher. These are the actual pitfalls that wreck grades every single exam session. We are officially paying off that open loop I promised you earlier. If you want to know what the people actually marking your paper are complaining about, listen to this. Number 1, confusing cause and effect in ethanol fermentation. Students are always mixing up what is driving a reaction versus what's just a byproduct. Number 2, forgetting to check units and terminology. Your data interpretation skills are critical here, and if you calculate the right statistics but slap the wrong units on there, you lose the method mark immediately. And number 3, the absolute fatal flaw we keep coming back to, providing generic answers that are not specific to the context.
And that brings us to the game-changing clue I promised earlier. Read this direct quote from a senior examiner. The classic mistake is providing generic answers not specific to the question context. Always link every point to the given scenario. Guys, this is absolute authority speaking right here. The secret to unlocking the highest mark band isn't just knowing more biology than the person sitting next to you, it's aggressively applying the biology you know only to the specific scenario, the specific data, and the specific limitations in front of you. Making cross-topic connections is great for higher marks, but only, and I mean only, when it's firmly rooted in the provided evidence. Before we move on, I want to give you a really quick memory hack to help you lock in that precise terminology and the units the syllabus demands. Just create your own mnemonic using the first letters of the key terms in the ethanol fermentation pathway, like map out glucose to pyruvate to ethanol to ethanol. Having a simple, catchy acronym in your back pocket can totally stop you from freezing up under exam pressure, and it makes sure you present your notation with the exact vocabulary the mark scheme is looking for. Section 4. The next essential step, uncovering the hidden trap.
Wow, okay, we have covered a ton of ground in this explainer. We've nailed down that core 5-step framework: deconstruct, extract, select, execute, present. We've looked at the massive danger of generic answers, and we learned straight from the principal examiner reports that context is literally everything. But I have to warn you about a hidden trap. You have the framework now, sure, but what if you misread the exact command word that decides your mark band? Mastering the biological pathways of ethanol fermentation is completely useless if you end up evaluating when you were supposed to describe or explaining when you were supposed to calculate. Misinterpreting those command words is this sneaky hidden trap that instantly caps your potential grade, completely regardless of your scientific knowledge.
So, how do you make sure you never, ever fall into this trap? Well, that is exactly what we'll uncover in our next session. To make sure you don't miss the vital breakdown of command words that will decide your mark band, you need to take action right now. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Ace the Exams, at @acetheexams_IGCSE to excel in your Cambridge examinations. Keep practicing those past paper questions using the framework we talked about today, and I'll catch you next time.